Mario and Musso have your early line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I mean, we're just here to have fun and win and have fun by winning.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, here's Mario Jerez and Matt Musso.
Good Thursday afternoon. Welcome in, Matt Musso. Mario Jerez, he'll be here shortly. He's on his way back from the LAB Awards. Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp on the audio and video boards, respectively. Well, it's here, March Madness, and so far, outside of Notre Dame and Rutgers last night, which was just a phenomenal game to cap off the first four, there hasn't really been that much madness. The chalk is dominating the tournament so far, 6-0 against the spread, which obviously leads you to believe 6-0 straight up as well. Naturally, covering the spread, you're winning as the favorite, which makes me really nervous because I like a lot of dogs today, and we're already 0 for 1 with South Dakota State. And when we get into the daily spread here, it's going to be more dogs. But look, the chalk can't cover everything today, right? So hopefully they start to come through. David Cobb is going to move up a day with us, so he'll be here at 2:30 to talk March Madness, get us caught up with where the day has gone so far, and also a look at some of the later games today. One game's on commercial. We do have Tennessee and Longwood on in studio right now. The Volunteers with an early 12-9 lead there. Baylor is up 43-27 on Norfolk State at the half, and Memphis just blitzing Boise State right now in the first 8-9 matchup of the tournament with just over 16 minutes to play. Memphis and Penny Hardaway up 40-25. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at what we're looking at today for the daily spread. Obviously, you've already seen some games happen. I want to start with one a little later down the road tonight. It is, got to find it here. Okay, San Francisco and Murray State, the 10-7 matchup, the Dons and the Racers, set for an 8:40 tip on CBS. Murray State favored by 2. The over-under is at 137.5. Look, this line stinks, so let's talk the total. The 7-10 matchup has trended hard to the over the last 15 years of this tournament. Better than 57% of the games in that stretch have gone over, 34-25. The Racers, they have 3 guys averaging double figures. They average 79.7 points per game. That's good enough for 17th in the nation. And against tournament teams, their defense that dominated conference play wasn't near as stifling. Against Memphis, Chattanooga, and Auburn, the Racers gave up 70-plus points to each of them. When you look at the Dons, they're a top 50 offensive team as well per KenPom, so they can fill it up. Leaning hard to the over in this one at 137.5. You're going to obviously look at Murray State's trends and see that they were 20-12 to the under this year. Ignore that, what we just said. Against tournament teams, the defense wasn't nearly as stifling as it was in conference. They blew out everybody in their league, and they won by 20 points a lot, more often than not. So leaning towards the over in San Francisco and Murray State. I want to talk Vermont and Arkansas, but I know Mario's got strong thoughts on that, so I'm going to save that one until he comes in here. Indiana and St. Mary's. This one's set for a 6:20 tip on TBS. Indiana obviously had to play in the first 4. They got the win over Wyoming to advance to this spot. St. Mary's has had a historical season when it comes to the Gales. When it comes to their program, this is one of the best seasons in the history of basketball there. Indiana's 5-0 against the spread on a neutral floor this year. I'm liking the Hoosiers in this game. Obviously, the 5-0 is fun, but I put stock in a team having already played a game. The first game in a tournament is always tough to win. This might not be the most aesthetically pleasing game to watch with 2 defensive teams jockeying for position going at each other, and it's definitely going to hinge on the matchup inside with Toss from St. Mary's and Jackson Davis from Indiana. Both of those guys lead their teams in scoring and rebounding. So, again, not the most aesthetically pleasing, but Indiana 5-0 against the spread on a neutral floor. They've played a game. This will be St. Mary's first game in the tournament and first game in 9 days. I'm leaning Hoosiers on this one. I said I liked dogs today, which makes me a little uneasy, especially with how chalk is dominated, but going with Indiana in that game against St. Mary's. Mario's here now. Welcome back, Mario. How are you?
I am. I'm great. Just on time for a red team, I see.
Yeah, well, now look, though. See, it's great that you came in here at that point, but we got to talk about it. So last night I took Notre Dame. To hell with the red team, came out victorious in that one.
Yeah, stayed up late watching that one.
That was a great game.
Moving a little slowly this morning. Combined with that and everything that we've had to do, not really cooking with gas as much as I'd like, but the basketball was good yesterday, and it's going to be good again today, I'm sure. And you made a good point with the chalk there. I was listening to you on the way in. That's definitely going to be reflected in my plays today.
Yeah, man, it's I'm not loving it so much early, but what can you do about it? Look, I will say this. So I know you said you were listening, but just to catch you up, so I've got the over in San Francisco and Murray State, and I like Indiana, so I'll go ahead and toss it to you now. Have not done Vermont and Arkansas yet because I know we're gonna have to discuss that one together. But go ahead, what you got?
All right, sounds good. So I'm looking at a game that's coming up shortly here. 3:30 tip between Marquette and North Carolina. Marquette a 9 seed, UNC is an 8 seed. I got North Carolina as a 3.5-point favorite in this one. Over under set at 152. And when we start talking about this game, Moose, so I really want to take a look at the coaches. You know their roads always fascinate me. And Hubert Davis stepped into a pretty big responsibility, right? First year taking over as head coach for Roy Williams, and has done a pretty good job this season. I know they were kind of struggling towards the middle of the season, but obviously a lot of momentum coming into the tournament, including the win at Duke in Coach K's final game at home. So Hubert Davis could start the Hubert Davis era in a really positive fashion here in his first NCAA tournament. And then how about Shaka Smart over at Marquette? He had really high expectations going into that Texas job, but didn't really do too much there. 6 years without an NCAA tournament win. And in his first season at Marquette, they were ranked 349th in Ken Palm's experience metrics. So this is a team that hasn't really been here before, but that's no small feat for Shaka Smart, in my opinion, already having them in the NCAA tournament. And I think either coach's first season at their new school would be a whole lot sweeter if they were able to get a win tonight. So looking at some trends in this game, the Golden Eagles lost in the Big East tourney by 11 points to Creighton. They were favored in that game by 2.5. We talked about it on this show. Marquette in its last 10 games, not really profitable, not really winning either. 4-6 straight up, 1-7 against the spread. Meanwhile, North Carolina in the last 5 games, despite the fact that they lost in the ACC tournament to a red-hot Virginia Tech team, they've covered in 4 out of their last 5. Not just that, they haven't had back-to-back non-covers since January 18th and January 22nd. So that's a good trend for North Carolina. I'm going UNC here. I think they match up really good with Marquette. And take a look at the center matchup in this game. They are playing Lewis, 6'7" at center is Marquette. Their center's only 6'7", and on the other side, they're going to see Armando Bacot, who's one of the best big men in the nation, especially when it comes to offensive rebounding. I love North Carolina to win that matchup. I think Bacot is going to eat on the offensive glass if he's able to stay out of foul trouble, and I think North Carolina gets to cover here against Marquette.
Yeah, I'm staying away from that one. For my liking, it's just, man, look, Marquette's been such a roller coaster team this year. You don't really know which one shows up. If good Marquette shows up, they can play with North Carolina. I just don't have the faith that they will. So just in the off chance that they do, I'm staying away, but do not hate the North Carolina pick, man. They were a bit of a roller coaster themselves a little bit this year, but down the stretch, they have really, really turned it up. So, going through our slate here, Mario, it looks like we only have one left, and it's Vermont and Arkansas at 8:20 tonight.
Hey, yeah, and we talked about this game, right? We talked about it with Raphael as well. This is a game where a lot of people are kind of liking Vermont as a trendy pick, at least to cover here, but I'll remind you of last year. Last year in the first round, Arkansas drew Colgate, a team that LSU could possibly see a little bit down the road here in this tournament. And Colgate, kind of like Vermont going into this one, was a very trendy pick. And early in the game, it looked like they had a good chance to cover, if not win outright. But Arkansas was able to recover. They won that game, and they got the cover 85-68 in the first round. And Vermont is good. I'm not trying to say that they're not a good team. They are on fire right now, winners of 22 out of their last 23. They did drop one game as a double-digit favorite. I'll point out they lost to Hartford outright 75-74, but they usually take care of business against lesser teams. That being said, if you take a look at whenever they've had to step up in class, in competition, it hasn't looked good for Vermont. They were a 10-point underdog against Maryland back in November. They lost that game by 11 points. They also played Providence, who got the win earlier today, back in December. They lost that game by 10 points when they were 6.5-point underdogs. And I don't want to discredit this team. I think that they can keep it close early against Arkansas, but I got a whole lot of respect for what Eric Musselman's team is doing over there. Although I will say I didn't have much respect for how the game ended against LSU. I know they dunked it right before the buzzer. Didn't love that, but I do love Arkansas's ability to win and to cover in this game, especially when you look at the trends here. Vermont on a neutral floor this season, 0-2-1 against the spread. Yet to get a cover, have only gotten to push. And meanwhile, you know what Arkansas has been doing lately, Musso. They entered the tournament 13-1 against the spread in their last 14 games as a favorite. 11-2-1 against the spread in their last 14 games overall. I have respect for Vermont, but I have a lot of respect for Arkansas. I don't necessarily think it's a blowout, but double digits sounds about right to me, and I like the Hogs to cover.
I like Vermont in the points here. I'm not wavering from it. They have the ability to force Arkansas into being a half-court team offensively, which Arkansas is not good at. There's really no other way to describe it. That's not Arkansas's game. They shoot 31% from three, and this Catamounts team will just force you to settle for those shots. They will get you deep into the shot clock. They do not foul, which is also a disadvantage for Arkansas. 22.5% of Arkansas's points come from the charity stripe. They rely on getting to the foul line. Vermont's not going to make it that easy. Mentioned how disruptive they are, keeping you deep into the shot clock. They allow less than 10 assists per game. And again, deep into the shot clock. If they force Arkansas to be a half-court offensive team, they will hang around in this game and they will have a shot to win it at the end. Now, if Arkansas can get out in transition and run, then you're correct. They could win this game by double digits. But I lean a little bit more towards Vermont having success in doing that and potentially at least covering in this game. I don't know if I like them as much as others to win it outright, but I think Vermont can at least get the cover here.
Like I said, I think it's going to be an entertaining game, but when we get to the end, I could see Arkansas pull away a little bit. This is the first time we've gone head-to-head on a side during the NCAA tournament. I say we put a little side bet on this. I'm feeling $5, maybe at worst like a Coke in the hallway from the vending machine.
A Coke in the hall.
Yeah, I know you might not go $5, so trying to ensure that we're able to make this bet because I'm excited to go head-to-head, man. I feel good about Arkansas on this
one. Sure, we can bet a Coke on it. Why not?
All right.
I mean, why not?
We got a Coke on it. I was hoping we'd have 5 on it, but we got a Coke on it.
It won't be today because I don't carry cash with me, so I don't have anything to go.
All good.
Go put in the vending machine for
I
you
will
there.
not forget your depth if Arkansas is able to take care of business, and you won't forget my depth if Vermont is able to take care of business here.
There you go. Let's see. So David Cobb will be up with us here at 2:30. We're going to grab our first break, come back, get you caught up on some of the action happening today and also last night. That's next on the early line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Mario and Musso, the early line.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
To the heroes who are working tirelessly to care for our communities, we thank you. We will never forget the countless hours you dedicated on the front lines, choosing to risk your own health to fight for our friends, neighbors, and family members.
I mean, you guys are out on the front lines fighting it.
We are grateful for your heroic acts and unwavering spirit. Together, we are overcoming this adversity and make our state healthier and more vibrant again. Auctioner Health.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust.
Madness returns. Tune in for live play-by-play of the 2022 Men's NCAA Tournament Thursday night at 8, Friday night at 6, Saturday at noon, and Sunday at 11 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is a Thursday edition of the Early Line. We're talking NCAA tournament. A lot of games already done from this morning. Michigan gets the win as the 11 seed over the 6-seeded Colorado State Rams, 75-63. Providence gets the win 66-57 over South Dakota State. South Dakota State had become really public. I was kind of feeling Providence on that day, especially if you consider the fact that they are number one when it comes to luck rate. That is a metric from KenPom. And how can you not go with the team that's number one in luck rate on St. Patrick's Day? Also, Providence is a synonym for luck. Not sure if you knew that, Musso. So big win for Providence. Those are the games that are in the books today.
Today, Providence was a synonym for make everything from three. I mean, that's what it felt like. And South Dakota State, just for a team that led the nation in three-point percentage, they weren't very good today. I mean, they shot a poor percentage overall, but especially from three, which was their game. They ended up digging a deep 14-point hole. They tried to climb out of it, but just ultimately too many empty possessions. At one point, Providence was shooting well over 40% from three. It averaged out to the mean a little bit. They finished 8 for 22, but I mean, it felt like every time Providence put up a three, it was going through the bottom of the net. So close for a while there. Not a great finish for South Dakota State.
Still some games in progress right now as we speak. Tennessee, as an 18.5-point favorite, is up by 12, 29-17 over Longwood, 7:58 to go in the first half. Baylor all over Norfolk State, 52-32 with 15 minutes left in regulation, and Memphis leads Boise State 42-31 with 11.5 left in the second half. Let's quickly recap the games from last night, or did you have a thought on that last one?
Well, no, I'm also looking up here at Iowa and Richmond right now in studio. That game's just underway. they just hit the under 16 timeout, just returned from the under 16 timeout. 7-6, Iowa leads. Iowa's a 10-point favorite in that game. I'm interested to see how that shakes out. I didn't bet anything on it. 10 feels like a lot in a 12-5 matchup. Those can be kind of unpredictable. So I'm just interested to kind of keep an eye on that one.
It feels like a lot, but I have Iowa. A lot of people are picking Iowa to go really far, like what I saw from them in the tournament. Let's see if they're able to pull it out. But me liking Iowa does not bode well for them because I liked Bryant yesterday, Musso, and they lost by double digits, 93-82 against Bryant. You had the over in this game, and it felt like the over was never really in jeopardy from the start. If you were watching this game, Avery Johnson, the rest of the broadcasters were in awe of all the buckets that were being made, or maybe at the lack of defense. But this was an entertaining game. I talked about Peter Kiss, the leading scorer in the nation. He scored 28 points in this one, but he needed 25 shots to get there. And also, he was outshined a little bit by Holden, the shooting guard on the other side for Wright State, who dropped 37 points. Season over for Bryant, a big win for Wright State, who keeps the momentum going from their conference tournament.
Yeah, congratulations. Now you get to go lose to Arizona. Yeah, I mean, from a standpoint of the over, that was a fairly easy call. I mean, when you just look at how Bryant performed against teams that had a great pace, how Wright State performed against teams that had a great pace like Bryant. It wasn't enough for Bryant to win the game, but they scored 82 points. Like, the pace gave Wright State the problems you thought it would. Wright State can also score. Like, that, they were a top 50 offensive efficiency team as well. So both teams filled it up, man. I mean, each team had a pair of guys who just dominated scoring all year. They did it yesterday, whether that be Kiss, Holden, Charles Pierce had a nice game for Bryant as well. That was a good one to cash a ticket on. We enjoyed that. And they hit the over, I think, with about five minutes or so to spare in the game.
Yeah, and I took the L on that one, but it was still entertaining to watch. And that brings us to the next game, which was even more entertaining to watch. Notre Dame gets the win in double overtime, 89-87 over Rutgers. You decided to take Notre Dame after a lot of thought, which means the Musso special is still very much intact at 4-0, but a big win for Notre Dame, another team who's gotten hot at the right time.
That game was awesome. I mean, that game last night was incredible. It was back and forth really for the entire time. Normally it is, I guess, if you go to double overtime, right? But just that those few sequences at the end of the first half, at the end of the second half, at the end of overtime, and then the sequence to end the game, the buzzer-beating putback at the end, an 89-87 win for Notre Dame. We had the Irish. They squeaked it out. It didn't look great there for a moment. Rutgers really went on a run, carried a nice 5-point lead into that halftime locker room, came out, really played well, but Notre Dame closed it at the end. I think Rutgers had about an 8-point lead at one point there in the second half. Notre Dame closes it. Rutgers hits an incredible, Ron Harper Jr. banks a three-pointer in to give Rutgers the lead.
That guy's done some crazy stuff this season.
He's been the heartbeat of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, or was the heartbeat of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, I should say, as their season's over. But he hits that, and it gives, I believe it was 79-77, and I just said it's over. It's over. That's it. I mean, if you're going to hit that at the end of the shot clock when you bank it in, if you're hitting that shot, Rutgers is going to win this game. Notre Dame would tie it, send the game to overtime. You end up having a shot at the buzzer in overtime. It didn't fall, so you go to the second overtime period. It's back and forth again. Missed layup, the putback by Notre Dame, and then Rutgers doesn't even get a shot off from half court to end it. I mean, just great theater for the first four. I mean, that was a game that was the caliber of opening round matchup. Like, that one really probably first four, that's aggressive. Like, those two teams both deserved to be in the NCAA, like in the field of 64. Notre Dame, they'll advance now to face Alabama. I'll tell you this, a lot of people are picking Alabama to go out in the first round. I actually moved them to the round of 32 in my bracket. One thing I do like, though, is the over in the Notre Dame-Alabama game. I'm already on that, and I recommend it for all.
Yeah, Notre Dame, another team that in the middle of the season kind of regressed, but obviously they're here. They have a lot of momentum, and they did get the win early in the season against Kentucky. I know it was early, but for whatever it's worth. So that will be a really interesting matchup between Alabama and Notre Dame. I didn't watch too much of the NIT, honestly, Musso, but before we go to break, I wanted to ask you if anything from the National Invitational Tournament caught your eye.
Didn't watch it. Didn't watch it.
Too much good basketball in the other tournament.
Yeah, well, in that I had tickets on the other tournament, not the NIT. So I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna watch where the money's at.
I'm sure David Cobb is gonna tell us the same thing.
Oh yeah,
and we'll get his picks. We're gonna go to break a little early because we have a lot of games still on tap tonight to discuss with David. That's coming up on the other side. This is the Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Early Line with Mario and Musso. 104.5 ESPN. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, Hunt, and Hill, the Early Line. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Hey, look what I found!
The motivation I needed to live healthier. My new favorite sport.
I found my groove.
I found I'm part fish.
My second win when I needed it most.
I found more than a gym.
The affordable childcare this mom needed. Time for myself. We found our why.
Have you found yours?
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644.
Madness edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We started off a Wednesday. Hanny will be with me at Magnolia Bluffs Casino and Hotel in Natchez, Mississippi. Game Time presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're getting the early line with Mario and Musso on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The main bracket of the NCAA tournament is now underway, although there hadn't really been much madness yet so far. The Chalk 6-0 against the spread, including the first four. But as we know, that is obviously soon to change. And a guy who's going to help us break it all down, David Cobb, moving up a day here. Normally with us on Friday, going to be with us here on a Thursday today from CBS Sports. Y'all follow him on Twitter at David W. Cobb. David, appreciate the time as always, man. How are you?
Doing well. I got 3 screens going, 2 laptops up, notepad, cell phone. It's quite the scene here.
You're living the life. You're living the good life. I will say that for sure. We've got a couple screens in here, but one of them's got our clock on it, and the other one has us on it. So we're limited in this studio with how many screens we can actually have. Let's get this one out of the way. It's one of the next games up. Is Gonzaga going to cover 23 against Georgia State?
I think so. I don't think there's a whole lot of issue there for Gonzaga. That's what they do, is all year long they beat teams by wide margins, and they'll probably do the same here. So eventually you kind of have to get worried about the backdoor cover, but they'll be up by 30. And even the reserves for Gonzaga are good enough to maintain a lead. So, yeah, I think Gonzaga should be okay.
North Carolina, David, is a 3.5-point favorite in their game against Marquette today. In the last segment, I talked about the coaches in this game and kind of the interesting roads for them. Obviously, Hubert Davis in his first year at North Carolina got that big win at Duke in Coach K's last home game. They're on fire right now. And then Shaka Smart landing back in his home state of Wisconsin to coach Marquette after 6 years without an NCAA tournament win at Texas. Didn't really live up to the expectations, but all things considered, he's had a pretty good first year at Marquette. How do you view this game between Marquette and North Carolina?
Yeah, it is impressive that Shaka Smart has Marquette in the NCAA tournament in year one. And the irony is that this game will be played in Texas. So if Shaka Smart could win an NCAA tournament game in Texas tonight after 6 seasons as the Texas coach in which he never won an NCAA tournament game. And I think he'll thrive in the underdog role and have his team ready to play. There's this idea out there, though, that we should save North Carolina because the public wants UNC to play Baylor, and UNC is the more recognizable name in this game. But I look at the way these two teams have been playing recently, and I actually think North Carolina is the play, even as a 3 or 4 point favorite or wherever you get it, because UNC just 2 weeks ago beat Duke on the road. UNC has been playing its best basketball in the last 6 weeks of this season, and Marquette has not won consecutive games since January. So I think UNC is playing better, and offensively they can score so well that 3 or 4 point spread isn't all that daunting for a UNC team that could get this game up into the 90s.
Set for a 5:50 p.m. tip on TNT is 12-5 game that's getting a lot of attention. New Mexico State facing UConn. The Huskies laying 6.5 in this game, but man, New Mexico State has been a really, really trendy pick to not just cover, but pull the upset outright. Haven't had many upsets in this tournament so far, as we said off the jump. Is this the spot for the first one?
Very well could be. So I've got New Mexico State covering and UConn winning, but that should tell you that I expect a close game. I mean, So New Mexico State, oddly enough, has been to more of the past NCAA tournaments than UConn, and they've been so close to breaking through. I mean, in their last appearance, they lost by 1 to an Auburn team that ended up going to the Final Four. So Chris Jans is the new New Mexico State coach, and he's got a talented roster in there, including some guys who came in from more big-name programs, and that very well could be a good game. I have UConn winning it, but I think that one could be our first real thriller of the day here.
David Cobb is our guest here on the early line. We're talking NCAA tournament, and we haven't used this cliche, surprisingly, Moose, so appropriate that we have David Cobb on, but a real David versus Goliath matchup tonight between St. Peter's and Kentucky. This is a 6:10 tip-off. As we speak, Kentucky's laying 18 points in this one with the total set at 132. A lot of people have Kentucky going really far in the tournament, if not winning the NCAA championship. Coach Calipari has a really, really good team, a lot of veteran talent, and some young talent as well. Do you see a massive upset here for St. Peter's, or do you at least see them covering the 18 points?
I do have St. Peter's covering, and I think that this one could be relatively interesting for a long time. Kentucky's not playing its best basketball as of late, and this is a St. Peter's team that few people have heard of, but that has actually earned its spot in this dance. It's not one of those teams that skated through a really terrible league. I mean, obviously it's an underdog of epic proportions here, and rightfully so, but they play defense. And so for that reason, this could be one of the lower scoring of the lopsided matchups. And I think 17 is a pretty big number. So I'm going to go with St. Peter's covering against Kentucky. And you know what? Don't be shocked if you look up early in the second half and this one is still single digits.
Second guess that thinks that they can keep it close tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, St. Peter's, I feel a little seen in that last exchange there, though. I also have Kentucky going far in the tournament, and I've never heard of St. Peter's University either until this tournament. So I feel a little seen there, not going to lie. The second 12-5 matchup of the day is Indiana and St. Mary's. This one's intriguing for me. Indiana, they're 5-0 against the spread on a neutral floor. They've played a game already. I like to put stock in that. It's tough to win that first game in the tournament. St. Mary's, though, man, they've been playing really, really well, and they're rested, having not played in 9 games. They're a small favorite in this game, laying 2.5.
Yeah, I like Indiana, actually. I'm one of my principles with this NCAA tournament is fading the Mountain West and fading the WCC outside of Gonzaga. And that's already borne itself out today with a number 6 seed Colorado State losing against number 11 seed Michigan when Michigan didn't even have its point guard. And so St. Mary's beat Gonzaga. You have to respect that. That's wonderful. But Indiana is the superior athletic team in this matchup. And they also have the advantage, what I think is an advantage, of having played 2 nights ago, whereas St. Mary's has not played since the WCC final, which was well over a week ago now. So I think that plays well for the Hoosiers, and I think they win straight up and obviously cover the spread.
Well, South Dakota State is out, so San Diego State is the last SDSU standing in this NCAA tournament. They are a 2-point underdog against Creighton tonight, or they're a 2-point favorite against Creighton, with the total set at 121. I'm a fan of this Creighton team. I made a little bit of money when they played Marquette in their conference tournament. Coach McDermott has done a good job there for a really long time. How do you view this game?
Yeah, first 1 to 50 type of deal is what it is. I mean, it's one where both teams played in their conference tournament title games their last time out, and those games were played in the low 50s. So I would expect for this one to be very similar. And I'll go San Diego State against the spread. I think it's 2 or 2.5 because the Creighton situation, playing without his point guard against a superior defensive team and San Diego State, that's a tough draw. So I'm kind of going against my fade the Mountain West principle there. But I think San Diego State will carry the banner for the little guys on the West Coast with a win.
This one's getting a lot of play. Vermont and Arkansas, the 13-4 matchup. The Hogs, a 5-point favorite. The total at 139. 8:20 p.m. tip-off is what it's set for. Blair on TNT. Vermont has been a very popular pick. They have a very, very good defense that many believe can give Arkansas problems. Can Vermont not only cover, but do they have a shot to upset Arkansas here?
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, I think the first thing that I think of when I see Wisconsin in the bracket is them taking down Syracuse in 2005. Just one of those epic NCAA tournament upsets and great finishes. And this is a team that is just absolutely on fire. And so I do think they have a chance. At the end of the day, I like Arkansas's ability to maybe speed Vermont up, get them up tempo, out-athlete them. So I'm actually going Arkansas on this. That number has drawn so close to not a pick-em, but kind of close to a pick-em, to where I think there's now value probably on the Arkansas side.
Really appreciate the time, David. 3 more games to go over here. San Francisco taking on Murray State. Late tip, 8:40 on CBS. The Racers are a 2-point favorite with the total set at 137.5. Musso likes the over in this one. How do you view the matchup with San Francisco and the Murray State Racers?
Oh, man, it's a fun one. And the winner gets Kentucky, so their fun might end on Saturday. But it would be cool, though, to see Murray and Kentucky play because, oddly enough, with those teams being in the same state, they've never played each other before. So that would be a fun matchup. But, I think Murray State wins the game. It's my principle here. It's fading the WSEC. And so we've just been beaten over the head all year long with how deep the WCC is and how deep the Mountain West is, and I'm just over it. So that's kind of my rationale. It's kind of hard to figure out how to evaluate a matchup like this when Murray State and San Francisco don't have many common opponents. Yeah. And you try to compare the resumes, and there's not really a whole lot there. So I go with Murray State, kind of a program type of pick here in the sense that this is a coach in Matt McMahon and a program in Murray State. And a couple of guys, too, by the way, on that roster who have been in this spot before.
Just want to quickly say, I low-key hope that happens, the matchup with Kentucky and Murray State, because that's really cool when you get an in-state matchup between two schools that rarely play each other. It reminds me of the scene when Florida Gulf Coast made that run and played the Florida Gators and how lit that atmosphere was. That would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yes, it would be. I'm fired up for that.
15 seed Florida Gulf Coast. That was a good one. Akron and UCLA, the Bruins 13.5-point favorites. In that, any strong feelings on the 13-4 matchup later tonight?
I'm putting UCLA on upset watch. It's not what my bracket says. I'm not picking Akron to win the game in my official CBS Sports bracket, but I've got Akron against the spread, and I think this one could be close. Akron, in the first night of the season back in November, on the road at Ohio State, took the Buckeyes down to the wire and lost on a buzzer beater. So to suggest that they can't hang with UCLA on a neutral court, that's silly. Emerging from the MAC is no slouch. I mean, I think it's probably as good as the Mountain West. It doesn't have as many teams in the NCAA tournament, but it's a league that, if you get through the MAC, you've proven yourself to at least be a decent squad. And so I think Akron will put on for the MAC tonight and keep it close against UCLA.
David, I'm a big fan of Texas Southern head coach Johnny Jones. He's formerly LSU's head coach, and I'm mainly a big fan of him because he was nice to me when I was a student reporter at LSU. But I think you can make the objective argument that he's done a pretty good job at Texas Southern. They punched their ticket after winning in the first four. They are a 21.5-point underdog against the Jayhawks tonight, with the total set at 144.5. But hear me out, David. Before you answer, they faced off against Michigan in the second round last year. They were 20-point underdogs, and they did cover the spread, 82-66, the loss for Texas Southern. I don't expect them to win this game, but late tip, maybe things get a little weird. Any chance that Johnny Jones' crew can at least cover here?
Yeah, I actually do have them covering, and I don't think they've really got a shot from a dark horse Cinderella upset perspective, but I do think they can keep it relatively close and respectable. And how about this? Johnny Jones has now been to more NCAA tournaments at Texas Southern than he went to at LSU. So I hope Scott Woodward doesn't put that on the promotional materials that he's searching for his next coach, that it's actually easier to make the NCAA tournament at Texas Southern. But a fun piece of trivia for you there. But yeah, I mean, done a great job there at Texas Southern because he didn't inherit a good situation necessarily. And for them to be in the dance 2 times already, under his direction, certainly suggests that perhaps he is a good coach after all. So I think they'll keep it close.
Before we get you out of here, we won't talk to you tomorrow on your normal day, so I would like a thought on LSU and Iowa State. Obviously, LSU, the cloud hanging over the program is, Will Wade being fired last Saturday, and they'll go into this game against Iowa State, a team that really struggles to put the ball in the basket as a 4-point favorite. A lot of people that we've had on so far this week are liking the Tigers. Yeah.
Well, I get it because Iowa State has been really inconsistent. But, I mean, both these teams have been so inconsistent. This feels like, honestly, it should be more of an NIT matchup because if you look at what these teams have done over the second half of the season, it's uninspiring. And so the question for me becomes, does LSU come out with this sort of reckless abandon, nothing to lose, sort of fearless, crazed attitude about it? Because if it does, there's enough talent on that LSU team, like we saw in the first half of the season, for them to make some noise. I can't buy it without the head coach, without the associate head coach. It just seems to me like a stretch to expect this LSU team to do anything after the way things kind of went forward in the second half of the season. So I'll say this, LSU getting to the NCAA tournament this season to me marks a successful season. After all that they lost from last year's roster, for them to beat some of the teams they beat this year, pretty good year. And anything from this point on is just gravy. And I've got Iowa State winning. In fact, I've got Iowa State going to the Sweet 16, not because I think Iowa State's any good, but I just think they got a really nice draw playing the LSU team without a coach and then potentially a Wisconsin team that doesn't have a fully healthy Johnny Davis.
He is David Cobb on Twitter at David W. Cobb, CBS Sports, with us every week here on Early Line. Y'all go follow him, go read his stuff. He does a great job. Appreciate the insight as always, David, and we'll do it again for the second weekend of the NCAA tournament next week. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
We'll take our final break, come back and close out the show next. This is the Early Line on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The Early Line, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. We opened up the playbook and expanded our coverage. Listen daily in high definition on 98.1 HD2. We are 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
This isn't just another day, it's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law office of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook.
Madness returns. Tune in for live play-by-play of the 2022 Men's NCAA Tournament Thursday night at 8, Friday night at 6, Saturday at noon, and Sunday at 11 a.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Early Line with Mario and Musso, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Wrapping up a Thursday edition of Early Line. NCAA tournament well underway. Shout out to David Cobb, who gave us some picks in the last segment. Time now to update our Citizens Bank poll of the day, as we do at the end of every show. And the question posed to the audience on this Thursday was, which is the most likely Cinderella team to make a run? I've been trying to find synonyms for that, Musso. Giant killers. I feel like we're using Cinderella teams a lot. Not just us, most shows. Murray State is the winner of this poll. 39% of the audience thinks that the Racers are the most likely team to make an unlikely run, followed by Virginia Tech at 30%. Don't think that's a bad pick either. Loyola Chicago, a.k.a. Sister Jean. We wanted to just make Sister Jean the choice on the poll here. They received 24% of the votes, and Vermont receives just 6% of the votes in today's poll.
People might be sleeping on them catamounts.
Might be sleeping on the
They're going to cover. I don't think they're going to win the game, but I do like them to cover this.
Says Musso. I like the Razorbacks. We have a Coke on it. Let's see who is able to take care of business tonight between Vermont and Arkansas. A lot of NFL news in the last few days, Musso. We haven't had time to get to much of it for obvious reasons. We got games on games on games. But the Deshaun Watson saga is ongoing, the trade saga, I should say, because he has still not found his next team, or the Texans have not found a suitable trade partner, I should say. We know that he's met with the Saints, he's met with the Panthers, he's met with the Cleveland Browns, who are reportedly now out of the running for Deshaun Watson. Also met with the Falcons. Had to mention, Musso, that the first three teams that he met with there, that he met with all of them in Houston. He met with the Falcons in Atlanta. Does that tell you anything?
No, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen here. Like,
I don't know if Deshaun Watson does.
A lot of things have trended toward the New Orleans Saints, whether it be when we talked earlier in the week about they were the odds-on favorite from a betting standpoint. Then yesterday you see all the action with their Super Bowl odds going from 50-1 to 20-1 or even 18-1 in certain books, which leads you to think that Vegas knows something. But you were supposed to have this decision at some point yesterday. That did not happen. And here we are now at 254 really on Thursday, March the 17th, and you still have nothing.
I think the increase in championship odds is not because of Deshaun Watson. I think it's because Traquan Smith visited with the Atlanta Falcons today. That's going to make the team a lot better.
Ouch. Damn, Mario.
I'm sorry.
I like it. I mean, I'm not a big Traquan Smith fan, so I like it, but wow.
That's the Stephen A. meme,
a
right?
Low blow.
Like, you didn't have to go there. You're not lying, but you didn't have to go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was interesting to see their odds get so much shorter when really nothing changed when it comes to the Deshaun Watson situation. But one thing that did change, at least from last night, Saints owner Gail Benson traveled to Atlanta, the aforementioned city, to meet with Deshaun Watson. Mickey Loomis was present in the first one. Dennis Allen was also present in the first one. But now the owner is trying to court Deshaun Watson. So the Saints are all in.
That's what I think tells you something.
Yes.
Not the fact that he went to Atlanta to meet with the Falcons. He could have met with them on the moon. I don't really care. But the fact that you had one meeting with him already, and now he's with the division rival, and it's his hometown, and there is a lot of buzz around them. Your owner flies out there to go meet. I think that's more telling than anything, that the Saints understand that maybe the Falcons are a legitimate threat here. I don't think it improves the Falcons immediately because it would just destroy their salary cap, and you wouldn't really be able to put a team around him. But long term, it could lead us to some success. They don't want him going to Atlanta. I think that's very telling for one thing.
I think it's going to be the Falcons or the Saints. I'll elaborate why on the next show, because that will pretty much do it for us. Nobody tell Traquan Smith that I made fun of him, because I could still broadcast his games next season, and that might be a little awkward. Matt Moscona, After Further Review, coming up next here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.